We're joined now live from South Africa by Zelda la Grange, Nelson Mandela's former personal aide for 20 years, who wrote an extraordinarily moving open letter to her former boss ahead of this historic match. And Zelda, thank you very much for joining us. I was so moved by your open letter to your former boss. I had the pleasure of meeting him once, one of the most extraordinary people I've ever met in my life, and his story, obviously, we all know. What would he have made, Nelson Mandela, Madiba, what would he have made, do you think, of this stunning victory by South Africa, and in particular, a young black man from the townships of South Africa being the captain who raised the World Cup?
I think, Piers, what went through my mind on Saturday was how incredibly proud Madiba would have been of Sia, but also of every player in that team, and him showing the leadership and that marvelous speech that you just saw showed on your screens. I think he would just have been overwhelmed with joy for these young people.
Zelda, you wrote, as Piers said, this extraordinary letter to your late boss, just talking how important this match was going to be.
We are struggling to keep the flame of hope burning, but you taught us that even in the most dire of situations, there is always a glimpse of hope. The young players serve as a critical reminder to millions of other young people who are blinded by their circumstances and disbelief in a better life. And for them, more than the personal pleasure I will derive from this victory, I really do hope we win, and that Sia and President Ramaphosa will hold the Webb Ellis Trophy above their heads amidst tears of joy. We are so desperate.
Really powerful. You know, by chance, I met Francois Pienaar a couple of months ago at a golf event he was running for a charity where he takes young township kids, actually, and gives them scholarships, does some amazing work with this. And he was talking about the impact of the 1995 World Cup final, where, of course, Nelson Mandela was there. And Francois said that even now, everywhere he goes, black South Africans call him captain. And it means so much to him. I can't even imagine what will now be happening to the current South African captain and the impact he has had on young black South Africans.
Yes, and not only on young black South Africans, Piers, but on the entire nation. He has showed us again that it's possible, and if we work together, we are stronger as a nation. And this just serves as a reminder of what we can achieve as a nation if we stand together. It is very important that Sia plays that role, and that it comes full circle almost now that a young black captain has taken over the role. And yeah, people can't wait for them to be home, and it's as if even the sun is shining brighter in South Africa this morning.
Yeah, there were wonderful scenes, and Sia, he said something which really resonated with me. You know, I've been to one of the townships in Soweto, and I remember being struck by, of course, abject poverty and all these people living with very little in their lives. But he said one thing that really struck me. He said that his favourite toy as a kid was a brick, because that's all the family could afford. Just bricks, the stuff around them. That was really powerful. The idea of a young kid having a brick as a toy, and now in his hands, the World Cup.
Incredible.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with coloured people last week, and they used bricks as Barbie dolls growing up. And that also drove me to tears. I don't think we really understand the power of this victory for Sia and for all young black people, but also the other black players in the team. You know, how far they've come, and they've really shown other people that it is possible and there is a future, and don't be blinded by your circumstances.
And also, you said something in your piece, again, which struck me vividly, was that they got there, these township players who won the World Cup, and there were quite a few in the team. One scored one of the great tries, another one lifted the World Cup. But they got there on merit, and that was hugely significant.
Absolutely. It is really the best team, I believe. I'm not a rugby expert, but I do believe from what I've seen over the last couple of months that we really sent the best team to represent us. And that is very important to the black players as well, because they don't want to be known as quota players. They want to be known as the best in their field. And it was important for me to also say that and to acknowledge that.
What would Nelson Mandela... He was an amazingly positive guy. who obviously was incarcerated for nearly 30 years. But what would he say to the poor, beleaguered people of Great Britain, Zelda, this morning, as we're trying to get over, notwithstanding the joy of your country, the despair of the fact that we lost the World Cup? How would he have rallied us?
He would have a great amount of empathy with you. We've been there too many times not to relate to it. I think he would have said to you all that, winning isn't everything and losing isn't fatal, and that you will come back from this and believe in yourselves. And you've got a lot of challenges ahead of you in the next couple of months as well. But stand together, because we have shown you that, achieving or coming back and returning to a moment of glory is possible.
Well, you say it perfectly in your letter, Zelda, when you say your life to Nelson Mandela reminds us that a turnaround always seems impossible until it is done, reflecting one of his most famous quotes, that after climbing a great hill, one finds another, and your attitude will determine the altitude you go.
Absolutely. And look at Lewis Hamilton. You do have, as Brits, you have something to celebrate this morning. Of course, Lewis was also a good friend of Mr. Mandela's, and I'm incredibly proud of him. So there's always something to celebrate. We must just continue looking for it.
And we are the cricket world champions, Zelda, so it's not all bad news.
Yeah, whatever.
Zelda la Grange, thank you so much for being with us.
Zelda, what a pleasure to have you.
Congratulations.
It really is.
Thank you.
You were with Nelson Mandela 20 years, and really wonderful to have you on the programme. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.